And it's times like this I wonder, how did I get here? Who's that walking with those good-looking
Alex.
Pokemon?
How did you get here?
I don't know.
Who's that walking? Who's that Pokemon? Oh, sorry. Who's that good-looking Pokemon?
Who's that good-looking girl?
Well, considering the Camper Chris is a guy, I don't think that I don't think it's appropriate for Camper Chris to be catcalling Rosette right now. I mean, she is 10 years old. That seems a little inappropriate. That seems like Andrew's not gonna like that I'm cursing right now, but that sounds like some Die Ranger shit right there. Welcome back to Pokemon Leaf Green. So we are officially going to Rock Tunnel. Is that where we're going?
That's where we're going.
So we have 3 badges. You are officially further than me because I'm actually on my way to getting my 3rd badge. But this is kind of not surprising in a way. Kanto is pretty straightforward in its map, whereas Hoenn is kind of roundabout in its map.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to get used to that
I agree there.
aspect. And so, first of all, happy Thursday, everybody. We hope you're all having an awesome week. I know that I give this intro a lot, but it's just kind of my thing. And we're watching the Camper Chris is bringing out a Charmander. And so at that point, your counter is Dougie Doug.
Yep, it's Dougie Doug.
And the fact that Jamaica, we have a bobsled team. We have the one Darius and the one Junior, Yul Brenner and the one Sanka. Yeah, I still remember that movie.
Yeah, it's a great
I totally
movie.
didn't just barely watch it on Netflix.
Which one?
Cool Runnings.
Runnings.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
I've watched like 2 Dougie Doug movies. I've watched Cool Runnings, and I think he shows up in one of the Pauly Shore movies.
Ew.
I want to say Biodome, but I can't remember.
Did you ever see That Darn Cat with Christina Ricci?
No, it got encouraged to me, but believe it or not, that was one of those movies that I wanted to see in the theaters, and my mom wouldn't let me.
Oh.
She said it was too, quote, too adult for me, and I still don't know what that means. Because it's That Darn Cat. I've seen the original That Darn Cat. You know, it's. I'm not saying it's not vulgar by any means. It was like what, a Disney's 50s film, 60s film.
The original, but the 90s might be a bit risque, but.
And she had no problem with me watching like the rebooted the Computer War Tennis Shoes or Flubber. She had no problem with that. Strangely enough, that's actually one of those ones that Flubber, not one of my favorite Robin Williams movies.
Really? I still like it.
And it's not because of Robin Williams. It's actually because of the CG Flubber.
The CG Flubber.
Yeah, that movie came out around the time that I kind of developed a hatred for Jell-O. And so...
oh, come on. There's always room for Jell-O.
So, no, not for me. Not especially when you have a family that loves to, experiment and put stuff in Jell-O. For people who don't know what that actually means, like they put little bits of carrots and peas,
Carrots,
and corn
I've
and
seen
stuff like that.
Why spoil a perfectly good Jell-O by adding random vegetables to it?
I don't know. My family did it, man.
Fruit is fine, but vegetables, not the
I
best.
found an ether.
I would actually disagree with that on a little. I think that certain fruits don't work with it, especially stuff like that. If you're willing to like peel an orange and put in the raw orange there, that's fine. But I have seen like really weird things where people will put in like slices of kiwi. Except
That would be good.
They won't like shave it. Oh, I can't deal with the skin of a
weird.
kiwi, man. Ugh. It's like it feels like a coconut to me. As weird as it is. And already we're off to our weird and unusual conversations. It's Pokemon, man. This is what Pokemon does to us. So yeah, we're on our way to Rock Tunnel. I'm trying to remember. So Rock Tunnel basically gets us to Celadon, doesn't it?
Nope, it gets us to Lavender, which gets us to
Lavender,
Celadon.
and then that gets us to Celadon. That's right.
Yeah.
Are we going to be spending a lot of time in Lavender Town?
Not right away.
Okay, so we're not going to be bringing up the creepypastas?
No.
Don't we pass through Saffron first, but then we have to...
No, because Saffron's like in the middle, isn't it? you got to pass through Celadon to get to Saffron, I think.
I'll bring up the map.
It's been a while since I've seen the Kanto map, but I believe that's how it works. Is like Saffron is like in the middle of it all, and then at that point you eventually make your way into Saffron from Celadon. It's either Celadon or I was gonna say Ivy Town. That's not right. The place where Koga is.
That's Fuchsia City, and that's at the bottom of the map.
Yeah. Bottom of the map with the Safari Zone. See, like I said, I can't remember the Kanto map anymore. But that's cool, because while we're actually making our way, we did actually get some unusual questions from you guys that I do want to try and get to via Twitter. And one of which was, I think this is kind of a guy who's trying to catch up to some of our material.
Yeah.
At one point, he actually says that, I guess, we didn't have a confrontation, but we had a discussion on our school experiences, and I think it was leading into like why you like slice of life anime and why I don't,
right?
In a weird way, and the question that he's basically asking is like, what was so different about you guys' experiences in school that's why it shapes like whether or not you like slice of life anime or whatnot. So I figure we could probably reapproach this. And I'd actually say let's start with you, Alex, because you kind of have the more positive experience in school.
Yeah, I mean, like any teenager, I guess, I had my ups and downs in school. I wouldn't say it was like the best experience ever, but
no,
I had a lot of, I guess, just having a lot of extracurricular activities that were fun, that I enjoyed, made school fine for me, and having some pretty decent teachers too.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. You were in the band, and then you also had the anime club that we've talked about so many times.
Yeah.
That you were president of. Is that it, or am I leaving something out?
I was also in Model UN. That shows you how geeky I am.
You were in what? Model UN?
Model UN, yeah.
Oh, Model UN. Okay. For a second, I'm like, what? You all go to the mall and be the UN? I don't know.
I don't remember what you did in that.
People realize this. We actually are doing this with headphones on, so at that point we're kind of muttered to each other. And unfortunately, the soundboard that I have doesn't have I don't have all the parts to intermingle the mics into our headphones. So that's why in a lot of cases, what happens? You know, like what? Yeah, I would say that probably helped with the positive experience for you, because you had the extracurricular activities, which means you spent probably a lot of time making friends and being social and whatnot.
Yeah, that's how I met Brenton.
It is actually how you met Brenton, as we've told this story or rather, Brenton has told the story many times. We've told it too, but Brenton likes to tell it, and frankly, I actually kind of like it when Brenton tells it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you and me have had arguments about teachers before, like the teachers we liked and teachers we didn't like, and a lot of the ones we didn't like kind of overlapped.
Yeah.
Because we did deal with similar teachers. I don't think we dealt with a similar principal, did we?
Yeah, we would have had the same high school principal.
Okay, I couldn't remember if he had been tossed out before you graduated. So
that was a little after I graduated.
That's right, because the incidents happened after you graduated.
Yeah.
So yeah, so ultimately you would say like your experience was very positive.
Yeah, it
kind
was.
of thing. And we're only talking high school, guys. I'm not going to go all the way back to elementary school because everybody had to deal with the politics of the playground, and that's just a thing. For me, most of it was it was negative because of a couple of reasons. One, and this is kind of the overall encompassing reason for everything, I hated school. I hated it. I hated having to get up at 7 or 8 a.m. and go to somewhere and sit all day because I was that kid who wanted to run around all day.
Yeah, you kind of. Do you actually have ADHD?
Yeah, I was that kid who was like in the desk and like his leg was twitching because he wanted to go out for recess.
Yeah,
you know.
Do you actually have like ADHD, or is it just you're kind of? You do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was curious.
I've been misdiagnosed. I know what you're going for. I've been misdiagnosed, but we clarified it out because believe it or not, there's a clarification, or at least back when I was growing up, there was. where there was ADHD and then there was ADDH. And the funniest part is they were all under the same name. So attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And then there was a classification, at least at my school, which was attention deficit disorder hyperactive.
Whoa.
There was, and to this day, I've had this conversation with a couple of old school friends. Like, do we know the difference between the two? No. We just kind of thought the teachers mixed it up and never agreed with each other. But yeah, so I was diagnosed as ADDH for a long time.
Okay.
And then finally, as a teenager, got an ADHD diagnosis. And originally, I would have, like, in high school, I would have told you I didn't have it.
Yeah.
Because, everybody gets mixed diagnosed. But we actually found out in my 20s that, yes, I actually do have it. And,
wow.
And here's the thing, like, kid ADHD is not fun to deal with. Adult ADHD is worse.
Yeah.
Because in some cases, especially in mine, you can't medicate it. So, like, for everybody who's just like, oh, what are you on? Are you on Ritalin or whatever? I'm like, no, I tried it all. I have tried so many ADHD medications that, yeah, like, I used to be able to recite them like an alphabet. And no, I'm not on anything anymore because nothing works.
Right.
This is one of those things where it's more of a personal effort that I fail at constantly to get that to happen. So again, kind of back to what I was saying, like, I was that kid who wanted to go outside a lot of the time. I hated school. I didn't like dealing with teachers, especially when I would get on the teachers' nerves, because more than likely they were on my nerves at that point.
Yeah.
Because they weren't letting me go out to recess yet, or they weren't letting me have chocolate milk at lunch or whatever. Yes, I was that kid, like, twitchy leg and all that. And then in high school, the other problem is that, especially because I've told this story before, I had a science teacher where my dad, who's an engineer, knew more about science than this guy.
Right.
And I would be the guy who'd be like, well, my dad told me that this is actually how this works and this is how physics works. And I'd get sent to the principal's office.
Yeah.
Because I argued with him.
Yeah.
Or he misclassified a sub, and I told him no, that's actually an Akula class. That's how that works. Go to the principal's office. That's the other problem why I don't like school. I got sent to the principal's office who knows how many times.
Yeah, I knew kids like that a lot because I have a fair share of different kinds of learning disabilities, mostly just in math, that is.
Yes.
And so there's like
Did you have stick up your butt disorder? Because I kind of had that.
No, I didn't. But, I had to be in like certain special classes and that, so I knew kids like that who just, whatever reason, just would pick a fight with the teacher.
Oh, you would?
Not me.
Oh, yeah. No.
I knew kids who would, though.
Yeah, and here's the thing. A lot of my friends actually did have that issue where we weren't looking for a fight, but when the teacher pissed us off, then we were looking.
Yeah.
And at that point, we didn't care. In particular, I've also told this story on my channel, but one of the teachers that me and Andrea shared together, because again, me and Andrea went to school together. So if you guys don't believe me, she was there.
Yep, I was there.
I have a witness here. She knows in some cases I was a downright asshole to my teachers.
Yep, he was.
In fact, some of it wasn't controlled. There was actually a point where I got so bored. I thought I was saying it in my head, but I was actually saying it out loud. I was like, let's just move on already.
You pulled him over, huh?
No, I did that in the middle of class. And my teacher was in the middle of a history lecture, which led to a 2-minute stare down between the two of us. And eventually it was just like, go to the principal's office. So she could confirm this. She was there.
No.
So I'd have the arguments with teachers. I get sent to the principal's office all the time. When I got to high school, I got labeled as that one kid who's going to have the Columbine incident, or who's going to do the Columbine incident in our school. Yeah. All because I was wearing a hand-me-down trench coat.
Right.
So like I literally had I had 3 nicknames in school. Trenchcoat Mafia, because of the coat. Star Wars, because around that time was when episode 1 was coming out, and I loved the lightsaber fights in Phantom Menace. So and also, like, for as much as we don't want to actually admit it, episode 1 is actually very quotable.
Yeah.
And I do all the quotes.
Yeah.
So like I could recite them. I had the Yoda voice by that point. And so I got called Star Wars because of that. And then the other one was Cough Boy. And I've told that story on the channel. I got called Cough Boy because I have kind of a chronic cough.
Yeah.
So I had like that right there. So at that point, like, that's kind of why I didn't like school is I was always kind of on the other end of a lot of ridicule and arguments and everything like that. So like school was always very stressful for me.
Yeah.
So much so that like I was one of those kids that would have full on like acid reflux before school. I didn't want to go. I was having nausea and all that fun crap.
Oh yeah, I know the feeling. Not from school, but when I had a job like a couple of years ago, I felt that way every morning.
Oh, the call center?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of me in school, and so because of that, I never did like extracurricular activities, and I never wanted to be at school longer than I had to be.
You were in the going home club.
Pretty much, yeah. And then when I went home, I went and hung out with friends.
Yeah.
And so that's where, like, my good memories aren't with school. My good memories are after school, spending time with my friends.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that worked. I hope that answers your question, dude. I know I kind of rambled for a bit there, but I think that pretty much kind of covers it.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my issue was by the time like middle school and high school rolled around, all my childhood friends and we all just kind of drifted apart and went our own ways. So it's not like I had a lot of people to hang out with after school. So I joined clubs.
There you go. And I mean, another thing that Andrea can kind of confirm is like I also had kind of the stigma of being antisocial, didn't I?
Kind of, but
Something like that. Oh, well, we'll continue this conversation next time.
In the rock tunnel.
In the rock tunnel.